Did you know that Sunwise Capital is offering a massive business loan and the limit goes from $10,000 to $2 million. Unsecured, FICO can start as low as 500. You're going to love today's conversation if you stick around. I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great and blessed as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to speak to you about a massive business loan from Sunwise Capital, $10,000 to $2 million, unsecured, FICO 500. This is the minimum. And before I get into the actual conversation, please understand that we have no affiliation, no relationship with Sunwise Capital. This video is purely educational and instructional, okay? We're just sharing information. So let's talk about the loan facts. So this is with Sunwise Capital, you have a large constellation of loans. You have unsecured business loans, you have working capital loans, you have SBA loans, you have bad credit loans, you have business lines of credit, you have business loans, you have fast business loans, you have invoice factoring, you have MCAs, you have accounts receivable financing. We kind of feel like this is like a supermarket of loans, of business loans with Sunwise Capital. So they do have a large bevy of loans, okay? And the amounts oscillate between $10,000 all the way to $2 million. And in some cases, you have up to $5 million in some cases. The APR fluctuates between 5.49% and 25.99%. The fees are variable. The terms 1 to 7 years. Time to funding 1 to 3 days. In terms of extra conditions, there is none. Okay. And one thing you need to understand here is that when you think about Sunwise Capital, again, I want you to think about the supermarket of loans, okay? And they do have a strong customer service out there to kind of back it up, because the whole idea is not just to have a large bunch of a diverse catalog of loans, but not be able to back it up. So they do have the customer service to take care of that. So whatever loans you need, if you want the loan fast, if you have the paperwork ready, if you have, let's say, and again, bad credit is not a problem, because as you just heard, the minimum FICO score is 500. So they're willing to go all the way to 500 to approve business owners, okay? The whole thing now is for you you need to be organized, because it's all about organization. You want to have all the paperwork as quickly as possible, all your paperwork rather. You want to get your paperwork ready so that when you contact Sunwise Capital, you're ready in terms of business plan, in terms of tax returns, in terms of your financial statements, in terms of your bank statements, all that kind of good stuff. Speaking of contacting Sunwise Capital, let's talk about this lender. But folks, before I talk about the lender, please understand that I am talking to you about a very massive EIN only business loan from Sunwise Capital. We're looking at a large range in terms of loan amounts. You have $10,000 all the way to $2 million. Okay, so Sunwise Capital is one of those alternative lenders that have actually come about in the last few years, and we love the fact that they are very straightforward. They have streamlined the lending process, and they are able to offer different kinds of loans at a very, I would say, reasonable, cheap prices. I mean, if you compare their APRs to traditional banks, the APRs you would get at traditional banks, they are more expensive. But it's not just Sunwise Capital though. All the alternative lenders, they're doing that. But if you really think about it, it's because they are more agile. They're giving you approval rates that are like 90%. They are actually approving loans as fast as possible, but within 24 hours. You have customized loan options. You're able to have a loan specialist. You don't have the weights, the operational weights that you sometimes have with traditional banks, right? The operational lethargy, the fact that things are so slow, right? With an alternative lender, you have things faster. So this is why we believe that Sunwise Capital is a great lender to consider. They are 100% focused on small business loans. Okay, they're able to take care of your application real fast. So after evaluating this lender on tens of criteria, including loan variety, loan amount generosity, the cost, the reputation, the customer service, we assigned the company a score of 9 over 10. And they really deserve it, because when you look at the loan variety, for example, I told you earlier that they do have a large number of loans. Like, think about it. They have everything from unsecured business loans to working capital loans to SBA loans to bad credit loans to business line of credit to business loans, fast business loans. So my point is, they have a lot of loans. So I don't care. I don't know what kind of loans you're interested right now, what kind of loans you're interested in right now. But chances are, if you just take the time, you take one Saturday afternoon just to scroll through the Sunwise Capital website, I'm sure you will find a loan that you like, because they have all kinds of loans. Okay. Now let me talk to you a little bit about eligibility criteria. How do you qualify for this massive EIN only business loan from Sunwise Capital? Maximum loan amount $2 million, in some cases all the way to $5 million. FICO score minimum 500. How do you qualify for that? What are the eligibility criteria? The thing here is that they basically they want you to have it. They want you to be in business, to have been in business at least 1 year, and you need to have an annual revenue of at least $150,000 to qualify for a Sunwise Capital small business loan. Let me repeat that. Minimum operational history 1 year, and minimum annual revenue, that's $150,000 a year. Okay. And Sunwise Capital accepts business owners with personal credit score of 500 and higher. So this is something you need to think about. So one thing you need to think about when talking to Sunwise, in addition to those three things that I just mentioned, so annual revenue, operational history, and a personal credit score, they also care about things like what I call the collateral, the ancillary paperwork, the ancillary documents. For example, bank statements. Those are critical. Those are important, because Sunwise, of course, wants to make sure that you are making money. Your business is generating cash, but at the same time, they want to make sure that the cash is actually flowing through your bank account. It's just a way for them to reconcile things. They also want to pay attention to your updated business plan. This is kind of important, because they want to make sure that you have a plan for the future. They want to understand where you have been since you started your business, and where you are currently, and where you plan to go. Okay. And don't forget your financial statements, and you want to pay attention to things like the statement of cash flows. That's where really not bankers, I would say loan specialists at Sunwise Capital, that's where they look at. They want to pay attention to things like cash flows from operating activities, cash flow from financing activities, and cash flows from investing activities. This is the trifecta that makes up the statement of cash flow statements. Okay. That makes up the statement of cash flows. Okay. I'm not going to get into technicalities here, but the statement of cash flows is very important from a lender's perspective, especially alternative lenders such as Sunwise Capital. Now I want to talk to you about use of loan proceeds. If you get this massive business loan with EIN only from Sunwise Capital, maximum loan amount $2 million, which can go all the way to $5 million in some cases. When you get that cash, what are you going to do with the money? What are you going to do now? Based on our analysis of several Sunwise Capital loan application processes, and we have talked to people, we have actually done our own research based on other lenders in the same space. We've seen that you can use the loan proceeds from Sunwise Capital to acquire land by purchase or lease for your business. You can improve a site. Okay. You can actually use the loan for inventory. You can use the loan for to buy supplies. You can buy raw materials. You can use the loan as a backup working capital solution, where you are actually buying. You're actually paying your staff. You're able to take care of all the bills in the short term. And this is something that I'm not saying if you. I'm not saying that the lender at Sunwise Capital will look at your application differently if you just tell them that you need the money for working capital for working capital. They understand that. They understand that businesses go through cycles. And if you are in an industry that is prone to seasonality, or you have customers who want to have net 45 or net 60, in other words, they're not paying you right away, but they're paying you after 45 days or 60 days, your staff is not going to wait for the vendor to pay you for them to get their payroll, their pay stubs, the money, right? So you need to find a way to plug that gap, that liquidity gap in the meantime. And this is why working capital loans are kind of cool. You can also use a loan from Sunwise Capital to take care of marketing campaigns through Google Ads or Facebook Ads or through local outlets. Anything that will help your company stay operational or scale or grow, those you can use the money for, and you're going to have to indicate that while applying for the loan. Okay, just make sure that you specify exactly what you're going to use the money for, because a lender such as Sunwise want to understand where the cash is going, so they can, and this is for their own internal analytical processes. Okay, I will be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation about how to get a massive EIN only business loan from Sunwise Capital. Okay, this is a massive EIN only business loan. We have here maximum loan amount up to $2 million, and in some cases up to $5 million. Okay, and the FICO score, the minimum is 500. So what kind of evidence does Sunwise Capital need? They need a lot of things. I mean, first of all, they're not going to ask you all those things online, but before the loans goes to closing, they're going to get all the info they need. For example, they want you to put a lot of info on the application form itself. For instance, they might ask you for the existing loans that you have with other creditors, who your creditors are, who your lenders are. They might ask you, for example, why are you applying for the loan? I've already said that in terms of loan proceeds, right? They would want to know members of your management team. In some cases, they might ask for resumes, especially when the amounts are kind of high. If you go into like 1 million or 2 million, then this is a different ball game, right? You're talking about something totally different. So this is one of those things that they want to pay attention to and make sure that you are playing ball by providing the right type of information. They might ask for a business plan. Actually, let me scratch the word might. They will ask for a business plan, especially again if you're going for a large amount. Because on this show, I'm not interested in getting a $10,000 loan from Sunwise Capital. If you go to Sunwise Capital, you want to ask big. You want to go big or go home, because this type of alternative lender, they are willing to actually put the cash on the table. If you want just a tiny loan of 10 grand, just go to a regular bank, or you can go to a regular community bank or a credit union. Don't come to Sunwise Capital, because they are too expensive for this kind of small amounts. They might also ask for a business credit report, your income tax returns at the business level, but also at the personal level if you happen to be a single member LLC. Okay, and also your financial statements are very important. They're going to ask for that. I just said it. They're going to ask for your balance sheet, your income statements, your cash flow statements, and your bank statements. Not forgetting your statement of owner's equity. This is kind of important also. In some cases, they might ask for legal documents ranging from business licenses and registrations required for you to conduct business. They might ask for articles of incorporation or organization. They might ask for copies of contracts you have with any third parties. They might ask for franchise agreements, commercial leases, and your LLC, your organizational documents, or your S corp or C corp. Let's now talk about basically how to apply. Now, folks, in this show, I'm talking to you about a very massive loan from Sunwise Capital, and we're talking about a loan amount that can go all the way to $2 million. Okay, so this is pretty good. And with Sunwise Capital, you can actually apply via email, fax, on the internet, and over the phone. So, and if you have any question through the application process or before the application process, you want to call 888-4056-9223. 888-4056-9223. Let's just go into the application process real quick. So you can see on the first screenshot here, you have a small business loan application. They ask you for how much you want to borrow. So just put in the amount that you need, right? And then they're going to ask you additional questions. You can see that the average monthly deposit should be, your average monthly deposit should be $12,500 minimum. So we put how much we're getting there, and how long you have been in business, your name, the name of the company, the industry, your first name, last name, the email address, and the best contact number. Okay. And of course you have the urgency, the CTA, the calls to action here. They want you to actually fill out the form by telling you there is no cost or obligation to apply. So on the next slide here, you will see that the basics. So once you put all this information, you just click continue, and you have this page where the algorithm, the Sunwise algorithm, is preparing everything, and they will just you just have to wait a little, like a few seconds, okay? And you also have to start thinking about attaching 3 months bank statements to the online form in the lower corner. You need to scan your bank statements or send it to underwriting at the Sunwise Capital, or you can fax your statement to the number I just gave you. No, another number, 888-316-5650. Okay, this is kind of good. And you can click on complete the application. So once you do that, you need to sign the documents. You need to please enter your name and email, okay? And you need to click proceeds to documents. This is, so you can see on the next screen. So the red flag points to areas that need to be complete. So when you see the form, you need to fill the form. And anytime you see a red flag, means that you need to fill that form. This is very important. And you need to click on got it, okay? And you move on to the next one, another one here. See your documents progress. You want to submit. You need to submit, and this will appear when you have completed all fields. You need to click again on got it. And then you move on to the business funding request documents. So this is actually a recap of everything you have entered. It shows the business information, the ownership, the lease. Do you see everything? Okay. And then you need to sign important documents. So this is the important documents here in terms of authorization. You need to think about that. And so this is just a recap of what you just entered earlier in electronic form. And once you do that, you are basically set. So you need to sign, you need to put the date, and you need to submit. Click submit signature. So you need to sign, upload important documents, and that's it. We haven't, of course, we did not click submit because we were not in the market for a loan, but I just wanted to show you in detail what you need to do to get the loan. And now let me give you a few pro tips to actually get the loan here. Folks, I am speaking to you about what? We are having a conversation about a massive EIN only business loan from Sunwise Capital. And this is great for bad credit because the minimum they ask is 500. And so as you've seen in the last section, I was just showing you that you needed to upload some documents, including your tax returns and your bank statements. And in some cases, Sunwise Capital will ask you to also send your financial statements, but also your business plan and all that kind of good paperwork. This is why you need to keep your documents in order. Very, very important. You need to keep your documents in order because if they ask you, you're not going to wait for 1 week or 1 month to kind of get the data and apply it. So you need to have it, okay? You also need to demonstrate sufficient cash flow. So it's important to understand that Sunwise Capital wants to have a long-term relationship with you, but for that to happen, you got to pay them back the loan they are got, the business loan they are about to give you, right? It's all about demonstrating that you have a strong cash flow position. And if you remember earlier, I was speaking to you about a financial statement called Statement of Cash Flows. This is an important report because it shows lenders such as Sunwise Capital how your business is really doing from a cash flow perspective, not from a revenue perspective or from an expense perspective, but from a cash flow perspective. Okay, and you also have to think about whether or not you may need to pledge collateral at the business level. Normally, those are EIN only. There's no personal guarantee, but in some cases, if Sunwise Capital wants to share the risk on a specific deal with you, they might ask you to pledge collateral, to pledge the business's collateral. So this is something you need to think about beforehand. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you don't want to be surprised, right? That'll be so crazy that you've done everything, you're ready, and then at the last minute they tell you, oh well, by the way, we need collateral for this loan. No. So you want to just convince yourself that there is a possibility and this is on the table. Okay. Another thing I want to say before closing here is that you need to have other kinds of information, especially the business legal documents, such as articles of incorporation or organization, commercial lease, franchise agreements, and so on and so forth. Thank you, folks, for your attention in today's conversation. I was talking to you about a very superb business loan from Sunwise Capital, EIN only, maximum loan amount $2 million, in some cases $5 million, and 500 is a minimum FICO score. I gave you an overview of the loan. I talked about the loan facts, the lender at a glance, eligibility criteria, use of loan proceeds, the evidence needed, how to apply, and last but not the least, I gave you a few pro tips. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.